after working with the Lutheran Church out of Adelaide, where the head office of the Lutheran Church is, for Christian Conciliation. I'd gone through everything with them some time back, and then we went to PeaceWise, and at that point John and Judy Hembrow were considering, or John was. I never hear from Judy Hembrow. You never hear anything. She's always running things behind the scenes, I think, with John, as we understand. And I suppose it's a good time to bring up one of the other reasons that it was time to get this sorted out. When I went to the Lutheran Church, which was my family's church, my mother and father and I, until this happened with Ray John Properties, because I wasn't able to go there anymore because of the circumstance. But I have a new church, and I've been highly involved with that. And having said that, when paperwork was presented for Christian Conciliation to the pastor at Tallebudgera Church initially, he didn't even want to read it, which is not biblical and it's not the correct way to run things. This is before I went to the head office, which were more than happy to facilitate conciliation. But the one in Tallebudgera didn't wish to do that, and that's okay. But as it turned out, with two Christian witnesses, we gave John Hembrow and Judy Hembrow the Christian Conciliation document, which was more than 70 pages long, to present why it would be good for Christian Conciliation. Now, having said that, I didn't hear from them at all, apart from next thing I hear was that Judy marched into my church and was quite loud, and the first thing she said when she walked into the office to our pastor, was, "My husband had an affair." The very first words. And it was rather a weird response to it all. So there was reactions, and then there was a persistent, in a loving way and in a positive way of creating conciliation. Paul advised me out of the, he works under the bishop in Adelaide, and he worked with me in getting the paperwork correctly approached biblically for John and Judy to respond. As it turned out, we then invited PeaceWise, which is a Christian conciliation organisation in Sydney that the Lutheran Church use and various churches use. They are Christians, they are lawyers, and they work towards Christian conciliation, not down the court route for conciliation. Now, this was going very, very well until we had another hiccup, which I was told that gave John and Judy a ticket to get out of their responsibility of even following through with that. That is in another chapter of what happened and who visited John and Judy and why, and who they're associated with, Ray John Properties, some of the people they're associated with, which are also in another chapter here, because it seemed that they spoke to it, these people, and we got an email saying, after speaking to certain persons, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it was all dishonest, and the people that went to him were dishonest too. They're actually being taken and held accountable for other legal matters. But anyway, that sabotaged the development at that point. So there's a little bit about where it's come from and where it's going to, and that is that we are approaching Christian conciliation now. All of this here is a good example of how to go about it, and I'm collecting all the information now, and that will be ongoing for the next months. All the information, the paperwork, the background, more recently what's happened with Ray John, that turned up in the bulletin, which more recently what's occurred with a case of defamation, which is quite huge towards me. Again, I could go down the legal route with all of this, but it's better we have Christian conciliation, because it'll mean that we'll have conciliation, which is what the whole thing is about. Anyway, that's just a little more of an update going into our information pot here as we evolve the process of conciliation with Ray John Properties and Mark Hembrow and John Hembrow and Judy Hembrow. Cheers.